Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So today we're doing something a little different. We are going to dive into this absolutely remarkable passage from an ancient text that, quite frankly, reads exactly like a modern apocalyptic thriller. Only, instead of a rogue general with a nuclear launch code, we're dealing with divine, universe-shattering bows and arrows. We're looking at a very specific, incredibly intense excerpt from the Indian epic, the Mahabharata. And we're going to unpack a narrative that deals with unimaginable, world-altering forces. It's this wild story that starts with just a simple morning routine, and then rapidly, and I mean rapidly, escalates into a full-blown cosmic crisis. Get ready, because the sheer scale of what we're about to explore is absolutely fascinating.
So what happens when you unleash world-ending power, literally, just to show off? That right there is the core theme of our explainer today. We're exploring this profound cautionary tale about immense power and the incredible responsibility that absolutely has to come with it. I mean, imagine holding the ultimate destructive force in your hands. Not during some fierce battle for survival, but just during a moment of peacetime curiosity. How does the universe react when you casually flip the safety off of a doomsday device? Well, let's find out.
Okay, let's set the scene. The entire disaster we are about to witness starts with a single, seemingly innocent request. The night has passed, and Yudhishthira the Just, along with his brothers, has just finished performing their normal morning duties. It's a quiet, peaceful moment out in the forest. But then, Yudhishthira turns to his brother, Arjuna, who's referred to here as Kanteya, and basically asks him to exhibit the celestial weapons he had received from the gods. These are the very same weapons he used to vanquish the Gandharvas, which were this formidable race of mythological giants. You know, it's just a simple request between brothers to see a display of strength, like a little morning show and tell. But man, it sets off a chain reaction that threatens existence itself.
Now, Arjuna doesn't just pull a sword out of a sheath. Because these are celestial weapons, he can't simply stand in a field to wield them. Arjuna's version of a launch pad is hilariously epic, and it really just goes to show how extreme this setup is for a mere demonstration. To ground his unimaginable power, he actually has to use the physical Earth itself. He sits down, treating the entire planet as his chariot. And for the chariot's pole, he uses an actual mountain. Seriously, a mountain. He rips up a cluster of beautiful bamboo trees just to use as his socket pole. Resplendent in his celestial armor, he takes up his legendary bow, Gandharva, and this magical conch shell given to him by the gods. He is essentially terraforming the landscape just to get into a starting stance.
And the crazy thing is, the moment Arjuna merely sets these celestial weapons up in order to exhibit them, the environmental impact is immediate and terrifying. At 0 seconds, just from the pressure of Arjuna's feet, the earth becomes oppressed. It trembles. Trees are shaking violently. Fast forward 30 seconds, the pressure builds, mighty rivers start to churn and boil, and solid rocks are literally riven apart. By 60 seconds, true cosmic horror sets in. The air is entirely hushed. The sun outright refuses to shine. Fire won't even flame. The sacred energy of the world just begins to fade. Just preparing to show off these weapons is tearing the natural order apart at the seams.
The sheer sensory terror described in the text right here is overwhelming. This isn't just some standard physical earthquake, it's portrayed as a cosmic natural disaster impacting literally all living things. And this is where we see the terrifying reality of unintended collateral damage. Arjuna didn't even aim at these creatures. Just turning the weapons on causes indiscriminate suffering. The creatures living inside the earth are heavily afflicted. They are physically burning up from the ambient, almost radioactive-like energy of these weapons. In sheer panic, they rise up and surround Arjuna, trembling, with joined hands and contorted faces, desperately begging for their lives. The pain and terror are universal.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the sheer scale of the crowd that suddenly appears. It's staggering. This disturbance basically acts as a massive emergency beacon for every single level of divine and supernatural being. The fabric of reality is so threatened that the ultimate VIPs of the cosmos descend. We're talking the great sire Brahma, the divine Mahadeva, and all the celestial guardians. You've got enlightened sages, sky-ranging spirits, and even nature deities converging on this one spot in the forest. It becomes this surreal, totally cinematic tableau. Vayu the wind god is raining down unearthly blossoms around Arjuna, ethereal musicians are chanting ballads, hosts of nymphs are dancing. The entire cosmos has literally hit the pause button and gathered to intervene. And through this incredible, chaotic assembly of divine beings, the celestial sage Narada steps forward. Sent by the gods, he addresses Arjuna with sweet words, but the message is a grave, desperate warning. He says, "O Arjuna, Arjuna, do thou not discharge the celestial weapons."
Narada explicitly tells him that these powers must never, ever be discharged when there is no fit object or target. And even if there is an enemy present, they should by no means be hurled unless Arjuna is severely pressed. Discharging them without absolute unavoidable necessity, Narada warns, is fraught with great evil.
So the crucial point here is Narada's ultimate warning. It subtly, yet powerfully, draws a direct parallel between these ancient celestial weapons and our modern concept of nuclear deterrence. Narada explains that if these weapons are kept securely in reserve, they will doubtless conduce to Arjuna's strength and happiness. They act as a deterrent, right? They provide a foundation of quiet security. But if they are improperly kept, if they're used carelessly or just trotted out for a simple demonstration, they will become the instrument for the destruction of the three worlds. The stakes literally could not be higher. They are meant only for grinding enemies in battle when absolute ruin is the only other option.
Fortunately for everyone, Arjuna is wise enough to listen to reason. He powers down the weapons. And having successfully prevented the catastrophe, the immortals and all the myriad beings that had gathered return to their respective places. The universe collectively exhales. With the celestial weapons safely stowed away, balance is immediately restored to the natural world. The text concludes this incredibly intense sequence on a tranquil note, stating that the Pandavas began to dwell pleasantly in the same forest once again, together with Krishna. Total disaster was averted simply because immense power was matched with absolute restraint. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. If possessing ultimate power has the potential to destroy the three worlds, is true strength found in wielding it, or is it found in having the immense discipline required to keep it restrained? It's a timeless question about purpose, responsibility, and the true nature of power itself. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this profound narrative. I really hope it leaves you with something fascinating to reflect on today.